The K0 station, come back with your call again. You're right at my noise, but try it again.
K0LO, kilowatt 0, Lima, kilowatt 0, Lima,
Kilowatt 0, Lima, and what was the last?
O, Oscar, go ahead.
Copy that as kilowatt 0, Lima, Oscar. Roger, roger.
Roger.
Roger, this is KC9VKV. Jim, around Louisville with our Qso-Vlog recording. We are recording, whereabouts might you be, sir?
We're in central Pennsylvania. The city is St.
I got copy that as central Pennsylvania. All right, and what kind of power are you running now, sir?
Running 100 watts inverted V. Go ahead.
Roger that. Sounding good on the inverted V. I just wonder, my thinking is always, checking your ALC to make sure that, that ALC thing is a critical adjustment in your audio to be all that you can be. It kind of is like a limiter that just fattens you up, and if you're running your ALC in the mid-range to 2/3, it really helps your signal as far as fattening up the audio, Roger.
Roger. ALC working normally. Name, by the way, is Mark. Mexico-America radio kilowatt, Mark. And we're running a Flex 1600 in remote mode.
Roger, that was Bart.
Mark, M-A-R-K, Mexico-America radio kilowatt.
I got you, sir. And which flex are you running?
6600, 6600.
Roger. You like that pretty well?
Just getting used to it. It's relatively new. So far, seem to like it pretty much. Go ahead.
Roger. Like I said, we are recording. And I'm looking at your audio on the output of my receiver, and you are, it looks like you're not processing very much, and you have a fairly wide dynamic range. And usually what we try to do is fatten that range up and to about maybe a 4 dB dynamic range or around there, which, there's so much noise on the radio, so much different kinds of noise that obviously on sideband, the better your average peak modulation, the better you do as far as getting down the road. And sideband, is directly related to your audio level. Roger.
Yeah, since you're having trouble copying, I can understand that. So I turned the processing up. Maybe this will help a little tiny bit. KC9VKV, this is K0LA.
Oh, Roger. Now you can't believe what that did. It when you start really increasing that average percent of modulation, like unprocessed average peak modulation is around 30%. And then, what you want to do is, obviously try to bring that up to maybe a 65%, which would make you, a whole lot louder. And that, what you did just then was, really improve things a great deal, Roger.
Okay, sounding good. Just want to avoid too much processing on this because of the way we're running the thing remotely using a remote rig box. It's got a little bit of quantization noise on the output supply to the transmitter, and if you turn up the processing too much, you get this big rushing background noise under the signals. Of course, if I'm weak at your end, you wouldn't hear that anyway. Go ahead.
Roger that. Well, I'm looking at, like I say, your audio on a VU meter, and initially we were talking there, and you were about like maybe a 3 4, somewhere in there. And as you increase your audio, you're up to a 0 now. So that's like about a 5 or 6 dB increase in your just your peak modulation. Not the average modulation, but just the peak modulation. So I think you might have been low audio-wise to begin with, Roger.
No, I've had the same audio levels, same audio gain the whole time. I just flipped on the heavy processor. By the way, I didn't get your name. What's your name, please?
Name here is Jim, Juliet, India, Mike. And we do have our Qso-Vlog recording page on YouTube. We have about 240 some odd Qsos now. And we usually run on this frequency Fridays mornings till about noontime or so, Roger.
Roger. It would be interesting to hear the comparison. I've been doing a little bit of that with headphones on, the remote receiver. The delay gets a little bit aggravating. Nice talking to you, Jim. Let you get back to another station. KC9VKV, K0LO.
Roger, Mark. What's up anytime, sir? And like I say, that Flex, it doesn't have an ALC directly, does it? What does it have instead of an ALC?
I'm not positive. It doesn't have the traditional analog feedback, but it's all done in DSP.
Roger, but you have an envelope there that displays your modulation level, correct?
No. Not unless you put a scope on the transmitter output.
Oh, roger that. Well, thanks for dropping by, Mark, and we will be posting this on YouTube in the next a couple of days. If you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will bring up our Qso-Vlog page. And usually we have so many call signs that we can't put all the call signs in the title, so we just title it by the date, which is 9/21/18, and the frequency 7189. So that would be what you would look for if you go to YouTube in a couple of days. Roger?
Roger, we'll do that. I guess before you were asking about we have a spectrum monitor. I do have a spectrum monitor on the display here, so I can see the occupied bandwidth and the average level. Don't know if that's what you were referring to. Maybe I misled you a little.
Roger. Well, I mean, I know that you can obviously see other people's audio bandpass in your display, and I thought pretty well that you could see it your own in real time, so you could set level that way. Roger.
Yes, that's affirmative. That's the way the radio works. The same spectrum display that you can see on received signals. You can see your own transmit signal on it too. Right?
Roger. So like I say, I'm looking at your audio, and it's just unprocessed as can be, and you would be twice as loud with just a little bit of, I'm not saying everybody should run the compressor, but it does help, like if you were just using a third of it, like a 3 out of 10 or a 30 out of 100, however it's marked, that starts, fattening it up. And then again, also with that, the ALC, that's a form of a limiter. And as long as you stay within the guidelines of that ALC reading, then it is another audio fattening tool there to some degree. So, it's like in sideband, since you don't have a carrier to suppress the noise, you want to get your audio up as loud as you can. But thanks for dropping by, Mark, and like I say, we'll have this posted in the next couple of days. Roger.
Sounds good, Jim. Enjoyed talking to you. KC9VKV, K0LO, clear.
Roger. 3 away, sir. Have a good day. And this is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, with the Friday morning Qso-Vlog recording. If you have radio you want to check out the audio on, give us a shout. We are recording, and we'll post it up on YouTube, and you'll be able to check out your audio. This is KC9VKV.
All right, good morning, KC9CK. Oh boy, I need to touch up that call. I apologize. The name is Art Alpha or Radio Tango. The call is N4QNT, November 4, Quebec, November Tango. Over.
Roger, Roger, Art. Good morning, sir. You're sounding good down towards Louisville, Roger.
Oh, yeah, you as well. Nice signal. Probably the strongest I've seen on the band so far. You're anywhere from 15 and then peaking 20 over S9. Over.
Roger, Roger. Where might you be, sir?
I'm in North Carolina, just near the city of Winston-Salem, and just enjoying a day off, actually. Usually in the thick of things, but get to play a little radio today, so a day off from work, just enjoying a beautiful Friday morning. Go ahead.
Roger, Roger. Now, did you fare well with Florence?
Oh, yeah, we were very lucky over here, very fortunate. Of course, the high wall and the bulk of the storm on the coastline. We're about almost 300 miles inland, so in this area, just some outer bands, a little wind and some rain. So we were okay, and a couple of little microbursts or semi-tornadoes, I guess you could say, just the southeast of us, but not bad at all. We're okay.
Roger, Roger. Well, you know, when you have hills and valleys there, when you have those big rains, and they were talking about 2 to 3 feet of rain. That's unbelievable, Roger.
Yeah, I guess some of the models or whatever they were trying to predict was basically showing this storm just sitting, and it moved slowly, but it didn't make as much rain as they figured. In this area, of course, yeah, here they were talking anywhere from 18 to 24 inches, but the eye wall, of course, when it surges and comes inland, and they got a good dose down there, in the Wilmington area and all that proximity, but not too bad here. We were the outer, I guess, the creeks and the lakes and such and everything around here. Some of the rivers, they didn't overflow, and everything is good in this particular area.
Oh, Roger that, Roger that. Yeah, I can't think of anything more depressing than to have to go through a flood. I mean, I have, in my youth, my father impressed upon me the fact that you don't want to put yourself in a position of experiencing floods. And because of that, we are a product of our youth and all of our learning and our father's influences. So I always made it an absolute definite thing not to put one's home in jeopardy at all if possible, and so consequently we live on a bluff that's probably about 300 feet above average terrain. So if we do get flooding up here, the world is going to be in a sad situation, Roger.
Oh yeah, no, I totally understand that, Jim. It's oh my gosh, but yeah, the weather, but we'll see. We're almost out of this season, and here, and we don't really think a lot about it, but of course, once in a while, a storm will come in through the center, and part of it be Atlantic, and then make its way through this area. But gosh, I grew up down in South Florida, so 35, almost 40 years down there near Miami. So we've dealt with many storms, and we kind of know the routine. But down there, the Pancake State, basically, anything coming near Miami, the eye wall hits the coastline, and it actually will accelerate because it's all flat, and then it gets over the warmer waters of the Everglades and accelerates even more, and then goes out to the Gulf and causes damage to people north. So north, it's unreal how that works. But yeah, so we were finished with the storms, and that's why we came up here. But once in a while, we'll get one or two every 10 years maybe to deal with. Not too bad. So listen, I heard you mention the audio thing, and I'm into it. I experiment. I like to play with different mics and processing, and maybe a couple of pieces of outboard gear going into the balance input of the back of the rigs and all that good stuff.
You mentioned there's a website or something where this is actually, I could look it up and listen, down the line, I guess, once things are uploaded over.
Oh, Roger, Art. We have a Qso-Vlog page on YouTube, and we are recording now. And if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will bring up our Qso-Vlog page. And we have about 240 Qsos now. This one, since we usually run across a bunch of stations during our hour and a half, we usually broadcast between 10:30 and noon, and we get so many call signs usually that we have started to label the titles by the date and by the frequency. So this one would be dated 9/21/18, 9/21/18, and the frequency 7189. So when you go to the Qso-Vlog page, just look for my group, 9/21/18, and frequency 7189. Roger.
Oh, fantastic, Jim. Where have I been? I think I stumbled across a couple of videos. Now that I'm thinking about it, I do recall, I was always wondering, what that setup was. I believe seeing you actually on video. That's right, as you're QSOing and recording. That's awesome. I'll certainly check into that and check out the date, like you said. Good reference, anyway. I listen through the monitor, or with this particular radio, what's nice is the full duplex. So on this Flex, the 6000 series Flex radios with the smart SDR software, you can actually transmit milliwatts on the transverter side on one slice, and then set up a second receiver on that particular frequency that you're transmitting on duplex, and really critique the audio well. So it's almost like having a second radio in a way, and working it through a dummy load, of course, with low power, and then headphones, and then critique the settings. So on this one, it's pretty nice. You could just do it on the fly with the mouse and set all that up. But just picked up a condenser, actually. I always use Dynamics over the years. A lot of the RE equipment, the Shure SM7B, PR40, and things like that. And for the first time about a month ago, I'm trying out a condenser, so incorporating that into the mixer and getting things going. So hopefully it's sounding okay. I know the compression levels and like you're saying, the dB levels earlier with the last gentleman. Yeah, there is a gauge, and basically the old minus 40 dB on the low, and then minus 10 out to 0. So we usually keep it right at the edge, just towards the edge of the 0, which at that point you're capturing the full bold signal of audio, and if you hit the red and go out to the right, then you're kind of in the over territory, and the red light will start blinking. So we just keep it on the fringe, so everything is hopefully sounding okay. KC9VKV, N4QNT, Art in North Carolina.
Roger, Art. Yeah, your audio is just perfect. I mean, it's just the EQ is very nice, and I think you'll find with that condenser mic, there's a lot more articulation than dynamic mics. This is a homebrew condenser microphone here, and I think condenser microphones, by and large, have the ability to capture the nuances a little bit better than dynamics. Although dynamic is a good mic if it's a good mic. I mean, some dynamics have really a nice accentuated top end, and some don't. And the thing about the Qso-Vlog recording is that you, when you visit the site and bring up your audio, you can listen impartially, even to the point of not having to lose concentration by actually having to speak, because you've already spoke. And so you're just listening clinically to what's happening there without any distractions. Roger?
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes if there's a little latency or lag, with SDR stuff especially, you're trying to talk and it's like there's a hesitation and you're stumbling and trying to, because of the delay. Yeah. So I see what you're saying. Just kind of sit back, enjoy basically, and I usually like to receive well too. A little mixing board, of course, and input all the equipment into that and control different levels. If I want to throw in a little effect, I can do that, with the outboard speakers or a good set of headphones. So I will be listening closely. Of course, the output from the sound card on the PC goes into the board too. So I like to do that if I'm gaming or something, or want to really enhance a video or any kind of music. So it's real nice to control all the components on the desk with a mixing board. Over.
Oh, roger that. Roger that. The Qso-Vlog recording circuitry that I'm using now is there's a bunch tied to the input of my radio and a bunch tied to the output, and then a kilowatt 2 foot away, and it was a challenge, but I think we've managed to succeed in most of the problems of audio versus RF. And on the receiver, a lot of folks, in order to give a correct estimated reading, you have to have your RF gain pretty much max. But, sideband is kind of like copying CW, in that in CW, you just want to introduce enough RF in the front-end RF gain to get the job done. And otherwise, you're just bringing noise up. And sideband, without having a carrier, is in the same situation. So you just want to introduce as much RF as needed to get the job done, so it doesn't tend to suck up between the words or stuff like that. And what I have done is tied my audio gain and my RF gain together. And then I'm usually running antenna attenuate, maybe 12 dB or so. And with the RF gain and the AF gain tied together, I'm usually just below AGC compression, which is just the ideal situation, Roger.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. I do agree. You want the peak levels held. You don't want them starving. I like the old, there's so much jargon out there, but we do hear it once in a while, some of the stations, and, I call it starving for audio, and boy, you just lose it in the noise. And if you can create a little more punch and some helpful gains, it keeps, I don't want to call it a carrier, and we know that's AM stuff, but it keeps peak levels up and a good push of audio through the, ups and downs of the sideband signal. So, yeah, it's fun. It really is fun. I've been playing around with the audio stuff for a while, and it's part of the hobby. That's what we're here to do. It's all about experimentation. Over.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the only thing you got going is your audio, it's audio from one point to the other point and back and forth, The whole thing is about audio and getting the best audio you can, within the ability of the device that you're operating. And ALC is one's friend, and particularly folks that they change microphones a great deal, and they don't realize that every time you change a microphone, you're introducing a brand new situation, possibility as far as level, because not all mics are created equal as far as audio output. So it's really important that you you be friends with your ALC on a daily or a weekly basis, just to double check to make sure everything is copacetic. Roger.
Oh yeah. Yep, I agree 100%. It's funny you mention that, because this particular box I'm using, it's a Vorsys M1 by Wheatstone, and what's so nice about the GUI software that's hooked up to it, you basically don't even touch the voice processor. It's all done with the mouse, and you can critique the parametric EQ and compression levels and all that stuff, and then set a profile. So I'll actually have a dynamic mic profile, which is a whole different setting. Once I went to the Sennheiser, the condenser mic, the level controls are not even close. So basically you just nickname it what you want, dynamic, whatever, Shure profile, and then the Sennheiser profile, and then as soon as you click on it, it adjusts all the settings on the fly automatically. So it's it's a nice little thing to have that. I guess it's called a talent, which of course, you know, in the broadcasting industry, in the booths across the country, all the radio stations, every voice is different. Some guys bring their own mic. You know, they're kind of sensitive about speaking in the mics where they've been and who's been talking on them. So they hook up their own mic, click, and they click on their profile, and they're ready to go. Over.
Roger that. Now, I spent 50 years in commercial broadcasting, and I never did that, but I must admit that some of those mics had a very strange muff smell, Roger.
I figured I'd get a chuckle out of you with that, or bring your own cover, right? Your own pop screen, at least, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, and earphones for sure, you know. I was, at one time, I never could get enough earphone level out of the board. And so I ran across, well, I built a little amp that, you know, would plug into the board phone. And then I could turn that thing up, and the trick was to keep the level. Well, I had you know, Cush earphones, so I could really turn it up without getting feedback. But you couldn't move your head sideways, or you would be in feedback.
Oh yeah, the old proximity effect, and I love wearing cans while I'm operating, so I go through the same thing. I always just try to keep the nose pointed, you know, directly towards the center of the mic, and don't waver too much. So I will, once in a while, if I'm turning to another computer screen, oh yeah, it lights up the feedback. All right, well, I'll tell you, Jim, my first time here, a newbie with you, so I'm hoping I did okay, and I'm really eager to hear the playback. I'm certainly making a note of this, and I will get on that page and sit back with a cup of coffee, and, man, this has been a great 10-minute plus QSO, so I'll have a lot to listen to. And, hey, and for that matter, I certainly appreciate what you're doing. I think this is great. And I'll get in here. Apparently, I'm always working. That's the issue. I'm actually off today, which I'm not off on Fridays usually. So, first time stumbling into this, and I'm really happy I did. So, I'll certainly listen out and let somebody else get in here. This is good stuff. I really appreciate what you're doing. 7-3, Jim. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll listen out. KC9VKV, N4QNT, Art in North Carolina.
Roger, Art, 3 sideways, sir, and you were solid in for the whole transmission, so you got a lot to listen to and good audio. So we'll say 3s for now, and we'll have this posted up on YouTube in the next couple of days, and like I say, it'll be probably about an hour and a half piece, so, you know, and it'll be identified as the date, my group 92118 and the frequency 7189. So 3's Art, we'll catch you later, and this is KC9VKV.
7-3.
And this is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor with the Friday morning Qso-Vlog recording. If you have a radio, you want to check out the audio, give me a shout, and we'll record it and post it up on YouTube in the next couple of days. And you'll be able to see and hear what your station sounds like. It's KC9VKV.
Kilowatt 2 Queen, Bravo, Victoria.
Queen, Bravo, Italy. Come back again with the first.
Kilowatt 2 Queen, Bravo, Victor.
I got you that, sir. And what's the name, please?
Name is Joel, J-O-E-L. I'm in New York.
Joel, in what part of New York, sir?
I'm in Rockland County. I'm in Pomona, near New York City.
Oh, Roger, sounding really good, sir. Good morning. So, what kind of power are you running there, Joe?
I'm running the KPA 1500. What I was concerned with the blowers on it, I know it works fine on the one I'm on now. When I go up to the next level of the blower, I would love to hear how much it's going to, how much noise it's going to generate.
I see. Well, we are recording, so Joel, have at it. Do you have enough? Give me a little bit more without that, so we can establish some kind of baseline noise situation, Roger.
Okay, this Kilowatt to Queen Baker Victor, my first fan now. And when I go to the next one, I don't know how much it's going to wipe out. So let me just flip it up there for a second. You're probably going to take you off like an airline. Now I'm on the number 2, and 3 I'm not going to get into. Name is Joel, J-O-E-L.
Joel, I didn't hear it, sir. Now, I have a pretty good signal on you. Your audio is 10 dB above my noise level, so I've got a really good signal on you. I didn't hear it. Go for throttle up on the big one, Roger, the third stage.
Oh, there's 5. Okay, let me go up to number 3 here. Now I'm on number 3. I feel like I'm on a 767 ready to take off at the end of the airport here. I'm on number 3 right now. And this is the Yellow Craft, the new amplifier. Now let me go to number 4. Sit back with this one. Now I'm on number 4. Number 4 is K2QBV. And I'll go to number 5. I'm running out of lowers on the buttons here. Let me go to number 5. I'm laughing with this thing. That's what happens. This is number 5. Number 5, let me go back to 4 for a second. This is number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I'm number 3 and number 2. And now I'll go to number 1 where there's no blower at all. And that's nice and quiet. K2QBV, go ahead.
Roger, Joel. Well, that's pretty interesting. And the similarities of a quadcopter on those higher speeds, I expected you'd be trying to capture your box as it flies away from that blower. I would say number 2 or number 3 would probably do it. I was surprised that of the mid-range aspect of the blower. Not just the air circulation sound, but there was actually kind of a whine associated with that on the upper stages. What kind of blower is that?
Oh, I don't know what it is. You say upper stage, they talk about the whine. I knew I had a whine in there, and I may have to change the blower. Is it like fan number 3 or 4, or 2 and 3, or 2 or 3?
It was on the upper side. I think it was maybe about 3. Started at 3, and then it actually diminished on 4 and came back on 5, I think.
Yeah, well, they had a problem with one. I have a problem with one of the blowers. Craft sent me a spare. I haven't bothered putting it in. Just the noise that I first detected and people told me about was on number 1 actually. And then I left the radio on one night by error, which I don't like to do, and I guess with the road I might have just made it nicer. Okay, well, I appreciate that. So I'm on number 1. This is what I'm usually going to leave it at. 2, okay. When I go to CW, then I definitely need it between 3, 4, and 5. Thank you. I appreciate your help.
Well, sure, Joel. And you can solve the whole thing. You can run 5 on your mic, on audio, if you put a windscreen on your microphone and work tight mic. You improve your voice level to the blower level. You just get you a foam windscreen and put on that mic and work it closer, and that will just almost diminish your blower sound even on that number 5. That's what I do anyway. And also just a thought that if you look over on your watt meter as you're talking, what you want to do is you have a very limited residual RF level on sideband without voice. So you could just bring your audio mic level up as you're looking at your watt meter. Bring it up to where you start seeing the watt meter climbing as it's starting to read the background level, and then just bring that mic level back down to where there is almost no residual RF. Roger?
No, I understand. I'm using a filter, a pop filter on here, pretty heavy one. I have a high-pitched voice. So if you lower it down a little bit, get more get a few more bass in it. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. I'll stay between 1 and 2 and work my way up eventually. And I know what fan it is, too. so I don't want to cover it for you. Although you said you're not sure it was 2, 3, 4, or 5, but you think it was maybe 4 and 5 that the noise disappeared. Is that right?
The noise was the loudest on 4 and 5 for sure, Roger.
Well, I'm talking about the high-pitched noise.
Oh, I think I think that was on 3. Are you actually switching blowers in and out? I mean, it's not just one blower, right? It's more than one?
Yeah, there are 3. But I can hold my hand over one of the high-pitched noises. If I go to 3, I'd like you to tell me which band it is, okay?
Sure.
Now I'm going to go up to 2. And then a second, go up to 2. And I assume you haven't heard now 3. Now I'm going to cover all the fans, one fan at a time, and see if that's what doing. Hold on. Covering up one fan, second fan, and third fan. I don't hear a difference. Does it sound the same to you? Zero fan. Just a heck, I'll go to 4, and then I'll be finished playing with you on this thing. Now it's the KPA 1500. Now let's just see if the high-pitched noise is still there. We go to the middle fan. I'm on the middle fan. I don't know if the high-pitched noise is still there on the middle fan. 5. Let's see if this high-pitched noise is still there. I get you on here, Dave.
I think, Joel, your body might have got into the play there a little bit. You know, that whine would be affected by your hand or your body, but it shouldn't be hard to find. I mean, just you know, move your head closer to the one blower or the other, and you'll hear which one is doing the whining. You know, because it's actually pronounced. So as you move in on the blower, you'll be able to differentiate that with your ears, Roger.
When I get more into CW, there's a 7851 driver on KTA. Thank you, I appreciate your help. I know somebody else called in too. But obviously I don't have a chance to hear that. And I'm also at an age of 78. I don't hear all the high-pitched noise. Mostly, I don't hear it at all, especially coming through the microphone. Thank you a lot.
Roger, Joel. That whine is a mid-range whine, probably about 1.5 to 2K, somewhere in there. So, I mean, you should be able to hear that, perceive that fairly well. Very interesting on that amp. I never run across one that had actually three blowers. Is that stock? Come stock 3 blowers?
Oh yeah, the amp is only 3 weeks old. Yeah, 3. The middle fan is always on and running, and as it gets past 60 C, it then picks up, and the other 2 start to roll, and then when it gets a little hotter, then 3 roll, and before you know it, it levitates off the table.
That's what I was thinking there. There was, on that, when that high-pitched one comes in, it's kind of like a quadcopter. I expect the whole amp to lift up a couple of feet off the table, Roger.
Well, they're working on the problem at LFS. And they sent me a blower. I decided to keep it and pay them for the blower, but not put it in and see how bad it's going to get and see what the plans are. They may just change the blowers around, but 1 and 2 is fine. I appreciate your help. Awfully nice of you to tell me. And good day to you, Kilo 2 Queen Baker Victor, New York.
Roger, Joel. Like I said, we have been recording this for our Qso-Vlog recording, so if you would like to hear what your quadcopter sounds like, if you go to YouTube in the next couple of days and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, KC9VKV. That'll bring up our Qso-Vlog page on YouTube, and on that page we will be entitling this Qso with today's date. So it will be entitled My Group, date 9/21/18, and then the frequency 7189. Roger.
Okay, I wrote all that down. Thank you. I appreciate it. And good day to you.
Roger, Joel. 3's up that way in New York. It's sounding good. Solid in the whole transmission, so you'll have plenty of audio to listen to. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, with the Friday morning Qso-Vlog recording. If you have a radio you want to check the audio on, give us a shout. We'll record it and then post it up on YouTube, and you'll be able to hear what your station sounds like. This is KC9VKV.
K4WJM.
WJM, come back with the whole call sign.
Okay, Kilo 4, Whiskey, Japan, Mexico. The name is Bill, and we're just outside of Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Roger, Roger, Bill. Beautiful signal. I trust you did okay in the Florence?
I would appreciate an audio check. Just put on a new microphone on the radio. In fact, you're the first contact with it. Thought I'd see if it sounded worth a darn.
Oh yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And now you've consulted your ALC to be sure that mic is doing exactly as it should. It sounds like it is, but I always check ALC, because that's a beautiful device there that will tell you exactly what your modulation's doing and help you to be all that you can be.
Roger, Roger. Well, I'll tell you what. I probably don't sound like what I sound like to me. But if you have a recording device, I'd absolutely authorize it.
Roger, Roger. Well, we do our Friday morning Qso-Vlog recording between 10:30 and noon on this frequency, 7189. And we go to great lengths to get the best possible translation of your audio into our recorder. In that we're running reduced, attenuation on our antenna, and we're just cranking in enough RF gain in the front end to get the job done. So we're just below AGC compression, so we're not adding absolutely any noise to the signal. So probably the best recording that you're going to get on radio. Roger.
Roger, Roger. Well, I'll tell you what, I've never heard myself on the radio. That would be a first. Well, I can't say that. I did hear back in the early 70s when the band was open, I did hear an echo of myself a couple of times. back in the day when you got backscatter, okay?
Oh, roger that. We had a contact station. Contact, go ahead.
Good top of the morning to you, both of you gentlemen. You're sounding after this morning. Name is Cal, K1CAL. I don't know where you're located at, but I'm looking at your band adapter, and man, I tell you, hope my audio sounds as good as your audio, my friend. Go ahead.
Roger, Cal. Stand by just a minute. We're recording, and we've got Bill on the line there. And if you got just a minute, I'd like to talk to you, but I want to get Bill done here. He's in Winston-Salem there. I guess he survived Florence fairly well. He just what type of mic did you just put on that radio, Bill?
Okay, sounds good. Put an SM20 Icon mic on a 7300.
Well, you definitely got the radio. That is the choice radio of the hour, man. The 7300 is just beautiful. And the mic that you're running does it proud, Roger.
Roger, Roger. That's good. All right. Well, that's the main thing I wanted, just make sure it sounded good. And since you mentioned recording, I've never heard myself on the radio, so yeah, I'd absolutely authorize you can play it back if you'd like.
Roger, what I do, I record it and then I post it up on YouTube. So, there's no, if I were to play it back now, it would be subject to air anomalies. So by posting it up on YouTube, you can listen to it pristine as it happened. So if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will bring up our Qso-Vlog page. And right at the top of the page, well, not at the top of the page, what am I saying? On the page, you will find a program called My Group 9/21/18, which is the date, and the frequency 7189. So usually we get so many call signs that we can't put them in the title, so we just say my group and then the date and the frequency. So my group 9/21/18 on 7189. Roger, Roger.
Roger, Roger. I'll do that. I have to go back in the house to get to the computer. But thank you very much. Appreciate it, and I'll go in and listen to it. And hopefully it'll sound as good as you do. Take care, my friend. Have a great day, and pick up all your other breakers, because you got a pile of them out there. And, man, popularity is amazing. You've got it. Anyway, take care. God bless. K4WJM, and thank you. I'll go in the house and listen.
Roger, Roger. Now, Bill, it's going to be a couple of days. I don't want you to be searching through those YouTube files for 2 or 3 days, because it's going to be, probably within a couple of days I'll post it up, right? But it's not simultaneous, right? So it'll take a couple of days just to get it up. Roger.
Roger, Roger. Appreciate it. I'll do that then. K4WJM.
Roger, Roger. Just make yourself a note to, in a couple of days, go up on YouTube and check it out. 3Z Oasis, a beautiful signal. Love that radio. It is the radio of the hour. This is KC9VKV on the Friday morning Qso-Vlog recording, and I got Cal out there. Cal, come back with your call sign.
Well, good morning to you, Brother James. Good to hear you in the band. KC9 Victor Kilowatt Victor. It's Kilowatt 1 Charlie Alpha Lima. The name is Cal, C-A-L, and we're down in Conyers, Georgia. Very, very nice signal coming through. Your audio sounds excellent. Looking at you on the pan adapter, you're about 3.2 or change or whatever on the Flex radio. Doing a wonderful, wonderful job from New Albany, Indiana. KC9 Victor Kilowatt Victor from Kilowatt number 1, Canada, America, London, Indiana.
I'm sorry, that call sign Kilowatt 1 Charlie 1?
Charlie Alpha Lima.
Dyslexia before my 5th cup of coffee. I don't know what it is. Anyway, we are running an older Yaesu 990, a 2.4, but we are kind of doing a number on it to get that frequency out there. Roger, Roger.
Yeah, well, your edges look a little bit raggedy on the edges, but you are 2.45 right now on the pan adapter. I see your energy coming out there, and it looks pretty good there, Jim. The audio sounds good, and you sound very, very good, Jim. Go ahead.
Roger, Roger. Well, we try. And we try as much on the receive side as we do on the audio side. So our recording, I think, is, superior to most Airchecks on YouTube, which a lot of those are a camera mic in a room. That's their idea of a Qso-Vlog recording, is a camera mic in a room. So the Qso starts to sound more like the guy's room than it does reality, Roger.
That's very, very true, and a lot of guys are not cognizant of the fact of, when it's the background noise that they're picking up with their station sometimes. So it's very, very misleading there. But then again, if you're recording in a very, very good location with the proper equipment, you don't have any problem with it at all there, James. We're running the Flex 6600 right now with a PR30 microphone and running a amplifier from Germany, a solid-state amplifier. And we're on the Maestro, you might say, also. We have a Maestro operating remote most of the time here, James. Antenna to DB36 at a 100-foot tower here, running about 1,400 watts. So you're sounding really, really choice this morning. And good to hear you on the band for the first time, and hopefully I can hear myself on YouTube in the near future there. Hi. KC9VKV, Kilowatt 1, Charlie Alpha Lima.
Roger, Roger, Cal. Just a beautiful signal there. And I can tell you're serious because your tower's 100 foot. mine's 50, and I don't go all the way to the top of my tower anymore. As you get older, you got to draw the line somewhere. So I only go up halfway. I'm sure there's some kind of something about that, but I usually reside at about 30 feet on the 50-foot tower. It's close enough for me, and it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of difference 500-600 miles down the road. So I'll do my stuff at 30 feet without a net. Good to hear you, Cal. And like I say, that audio is just beautiful. I think you got everything set up, and the audio curve EQ-wise sounds perfect.
Well, thank you very, very much. Yeah, I have an audio station here also. If you see me on QRZ, I got the 2496, etc., and Mackie, all that kind of crap. It's all getting on a dust on it right now. I use the input audio in the radio itself there from the Flex, and I tell you, I'm really, really happy with it, James. No question about it. But I'll let you run. I'm quite sure you got a long list of guys waiting to hear what they sound like on the radio here, so we won't hesitate to hold you up there, my friend James. Best of 73s. Have a very, very wonderful, enjoyable, but safe weekend, and we'll talk to you down the log. KC9 Victor Kilowatt Victor from K1CAL in Atlanta. Ciao, ciao.
Roger, roger, sir. Great signal. Threes to you down that way. And again, we'll be posting this on YouTube in the next couple of days. So if you go to YouTube and do that call out a search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will bring up our Qso-Vlog page. And on that page, you'll see one of the entities called My Group 92118. Frequency 7189, and like I say, we'll be posting that in the next couple of days. So threes to you, Cal. Sounding good. Catch you later. This is KC9VKV with the Friday morning Qso-Vlog recording. If you've got a radio, you want to check the audio out, give us a shout. We are recording, and we'll post it up on YouTube, and you'll be able to hear it. So we'll be stand by. The Kilo November station. Come back with your call sign again.
That is November 3, Victor Kilo November.
November 3, Victor Kilo November. What's the name there?
Name here is Jeff, Julia Echo Foxtrot, and we're located in northeastern Pennsylvania, Monroe, Susquehanna County, directly below, right over the border from Binghamton, New York.
Roger, Jeff. A little QRM coming up on the channel now, but you are 2 or 3 dB above it. Are you running like 100 watts?
Negative. We are working 500, PEP power function 600. We're working with an Americana ALS 600.
Roger. It sounds like adjacent frequency QRM, so maybe it's a more temporary thing. I have you as about 3 dB above my noise level, though, Roger.
Roger, you're giving me a good solid S9 here and great audio.
Roger. What kind of antenna system are you running there?
There is a folded dipole of about 35
Roger, Jeff. I'm going to have to say threes to you, sir. I'm sorry, right now, just conditions are not that good, and like I say, I'm getting a little QRM on the side there that is not helping matters at all, Roger. So we'll say threes for now, Jeff. Unfortunately, conditions just aren't with us. The force isn't with us at the moment. I don't know where the force is, but maybe things will shift around here in a little bit. So let me say threes to you for now, and maybe try later see if conditions have improved. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and this is the Friday morning Qso-Vlog recording. If you have a radio that you want to check the audio on, if you give us a shout, we are recording, and we'll post it up on YouTube, and you'll be able to hear what you sound like. KC9VKV, Friday morning Qso-Vlog.
Kilo Whiskey, how copy? Kilo Mike 5, Yankee Victor. Kilo Mike 5, Yankee Victor.
Kilo Mike 5, Yankee Victor. Let's try it here. Let's see how the noise. I'm getting, like I say, adjacent channel QRM, but come back and let me hear you.
Oh, well, very good, James. My name is Jim. Kilo Mike 5. The signal has changed since I first started copying
your other Qsos, but it's kind of up and down, and did want to take the opportunity. I've never hurt myself, so I appreciate what you're doing. I've looked you up on QRZ, and I've been listening for a little while, and you posted on YouTube. Anyway, very good. I think it's an excellent project. And I'm just feeding a wire, running that into a old Henry Kilo Delta 2 amplifier. So back to you. Kilo Charlie 9, Victor, Kilo Victor, Kilo Mike 5, Yankee Victor.
Roger, Jim. What kind of power are you getting there?
Well, let's see. Right now, it looks like about 600 or so is what I'm running.
Roger that, sir. I've got you probably about 6 dB above my noise level, but I am getting intermittent curium from next door, I think. I'm not real sure exactly what that is, but it's low frequency stuff. Usually not splatter, but intermod or whatever is mid-range to upper end. This is very low frequency, so I just wonder what that guy sounds like actually on the frequency, Roger, on his frequency. It must be pretty heavy bottom end.
Oh, Roger, James, yeah, I could hear part of that as well, another conversation somewhere in the background, and I don't know whether it's just the band conditions and it's changed such that, the other signals from other parts of the area are coming up or what. But anyway, I'm going to log you down at about, what do we got here, 1534, 1533. 1533 UCT, and by the way, you have a beautiful signal. It's 5.9 most of the time, without the other QRM in there. So back to you, James. KC9 Victor Kilo Victor from Kilo Mike 5 Yankee Victor.
Roger, Jim. And I'm just curious now, what kind of mic are you running there?
This is one of those old cheap style mics, PR781G. No, all kidding aside, it's a great mic, I think, anyway. With I had to try to keep up with Rush and his famous EIB microphone.
Oh, roger that. Roger that. Well, I was just curious because from time to time it would sound like your top end would leave, like you might have been turning your head a little bit away from mic. And those dynamic mics, you want to stay on those, as much as you can. If you turn your head, well, your level will drop a little bit. The syllabic range is quite a bit. Yeah, so you might want to stay on mic as much as you can. Roger.
Oh, Roger, that is just, I don't know, the normal way I am, I guess. And yes, I understand that. I was curious about this microphone being hot or overdriving the radio, and people at Heil said I wouldn't have that issue. But sometimes I do turn away and back away from the microphone. But hopefully, I guess I need to put some type of a device to give me the proper distance to speak into it. I'll put it that way. Anyway, well, thank you very much for the critique. Really, I appreciate it.
Roger. Now, if you go to ALC on your radio, go to ALC on your radio, and you can check your audio as far as what that mic is doing. You should, when you do change mics, you should always go to ALC position to just be sure that everything is copacetic. And in that ALC mode, that meter, you want it to be mid-scale to 2/3 towards max, but not over max on the ALC. So usually halfway to 2/3 capability on the ALC meter will put you at exactly the level you want. And if you have a discrepancy, that is controlled obviously by your mic gain. You know, if you have a low ALC, just turn your mic gain up to where you do this in transmit, and you're talking along, and you're adjusting the mic gain, and you want to adjust that mic gain on the ALC to where you're mid-scale to 2/3, and that'll be a good situation for you. Roger, Roger.
Oh, Roger, James, and I much appreciate it, and thank you very much for being there. Friend of mine's running a special event station. I was going to give you a place to go, but actually I can't do that. So that was just one of those fleeting thoughts that went through my head. But anyway, James, I much appreciate you. Thank you very much for coming back to me, and I'll look forward to a couple of days of maybe hearing my station and hear how it sounds on 73, brother. You have a great day. I know we'll probably have time to see you. Anyway, thanks again. Okay, I'm sorry.
Roger, Roger, Jim. 3 Zetterways, sir. I wish we had a little bit better conditions, but it is what it is. So, if you, like I say, if you go to YouTube in the next couple of days and look for our post on YouTube by the call letter search Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and then when that page opens up, look for the segment that's called My Group 92118 with the frequency 7189. So free 3 there, Jim, and we'll catch you later. It's KC9VKV with the Friday morning Qso-Vlog recording. If you've got a radio you want to check the audio on, give us a shout and we'll record it and post it on YouTube. It's KC9VKV. WYX, give me the call again, please.
The call is Whiskey Bravo 8, Whiskey Yankee X-Ray. Joe is the name, and we're located just outside of Youngstown, Ohio, in a town called Struthers. And I'd like to have a check with you. I have one of these Workman microphones, similar to a D104, it's all chrome, to a 7300 running about 500 watts to a dipole ladder fit. Go ahead.
Oh, roger that, sir. And that microphone, are you running that direct? Is it a powered mic or no? All right. Because usually, those D104s have tremendous high impedance output, and if you run it directly into your radio, most radios today are 600 ohm input, so it usually goes really bright, trebly to a straight D104 into modern HF radio. But because it's got that amp in there, that is no longer the problem. That amp output is a more compatible output impedance to the current radio. So what I've noticed now, just listening there in the last little bit, is that you do have a nice top end. Let me hear a little bit more, sir.
Okay, like I say, we're running 7300. We have a Meritron 811H. We're running by 500 watts. And we got the external power supply. Just give you a quick rundown to give you some audio chatter. Running a but the MFJ tuner for the wire. So hopefully that'll give you some good chatter there. I'm also thinking of taking the inside of the head of the microphone and change it to a Shure type, I guess it's a mic component that goes inside. Go ahead.
You mean replacing the element?
Yeah, we're going to replace it with a Shure element with the amplifier.
we're kind of needs a little bass in it.
Yeah, Roger. Now, yeah, I do notice a little artifacting on the upper end of that D104, and that's typical for that element there to be a little discolored on the top end. Even though it does have a beautiful top end, it is a little discolored, and probably if you change your elements, that will solve the problem. That's that element that you're going to use, I think, is a ceramic element. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what I understood. A gentleman down in Salem from YTTH, KB8WWQ, he does a lot of repairs, and he says he would like to change that for me so it makes it sound a little bit better.
Oh, Roger, yeah, it will. It will. It'll take that that upper end discoloration right out, because the element in the D104, like I said, that's intrinsic. Now, let's see. So, and then your output power is how much?
I'm driving the Ameritron 811 with about 45 watts. It's putting about 550, 600 watts.
Roger, very nice signal most of the time. So far, just beautiful. Outside of the audio discoloration, and you've got working on that. Now, are you sure you want to use that D104? Man, it takes, after a while, that grip on that mic, doing it that way, isn't that a little tiring having to hold that? Now, maybe I just had a stiff D104 one time, and it just, you know, I really had to grab it, but I'm just curious about the manual labor on that D104, Roger.
Okay, we also have a lever on the bottom. It's two keys on it. It's got the lever on the base, or on the tower itself there's a key too. The one on the base is a little bit harder to hold down than the one on the stem, rather. Back to you there, KC9VKV, WB8WX.
Roger, that's true. And the thing I have noticed about all those mics, the D104, you know, the Shure, and the other one, I forget what it is, but they're well known. But they're all too short. I mean, they just don't. I like a microphone that comes up and is right at my mouth, and these seem to be all too short. Now, maybe I need a lower chair or a higher table, or I did find the ideal solution. That's a swing arm. With a swing arm, but yeah, you can put that mic wherever you need it, Roger.
That's for sure. I have another mic here. It'd be nice if I could switch it out. It's a studio type microphone that is Chinese. It's known as a BM8000. They claim that sounds better on this 7300 than the D104.
Oh, well, go ahead, sir. That's what this is all about. Switch that mic if you can. You have the right radio, sir, for sure. That 7300 is a beautiful radio. So, yeah, go ahead and switch that mic, and we'll just see. That's like I say, that's what these Qso-Vlogs are all about, is to be able to see different things and what they sound like between the two. This is KC9VKV with the Friday morning Qso-Vlog recording, and we're checking out another microphone from the D104 to another mic, and we'll just see if we solve that upper frequency range discoloration that the D104 is famous for.
Okay, we're back here with the BM8000. It's a Chinese mic studio. It's got of course, it doesn't have the keys. I use a finger key from Heil, and we're running the same settings. We haven't changed anything. So how's this sound to you there, sir?
Oh, put that D104 in the trash can. You've got it going on. Now, what I would suggest, the next transmission you come back with, go to your ALC level, and take a look at the at your ALC. And you know, you've got your mic gain. You might want to bring your mic gain down just a tad to where your ALC is running mid-scale to 2/3, almost to max, but not over max on your ALC. Roger, roger.
Roger, roger. In fact, right now it just peaks right at to the end there, about the middle. And I backed up the mic gain to 55% instead of 60%. Is that any better, sir?
Yes, sir. I would drop it another 5%.
Okay, we're at 50% right now. Compression is 7. And like I said, we're just running with the amplifier. How's that sound?
All right. I would take your compressor down to about a 3. I would run that compressor at about a 3. If you have a 1 to 10, run the compressor at about a 3. And let's see what that sounds like.
Okay, I did change it. I'm sorry to take up so much time. I'm sure there's other guys out there waiting. We got the compression set at 3, the mic gain at 50%. How's that, sir?
Roger. Now, what are you reading on your ALC, Roger?
Okay, ALC is still staying about the middle. Peaks a little past 9, but other than that, it runs real well.
Roger. What's your max ALC reading? What now? Do you have a number on it?
Yeah, it's just going over past 9.
Is that the max ALC? I mean, what is the meter itself, the scale of the meter itself, without, you know, not talking about the modulation, but just the scale of the meter?
60 dBd.
Alrighty, so just out of curiosity, if you came up just a little bit more on your mic gain, what happens?
Okay, let me get over here and squeeze over here and switch. Okay, I'm at 55%, and it still seems about the same. Go ahead.
All right, bring your compressor down to about a 2. Bring that compressor down to about a 2.
Okay, we're at about a 2, and it still doesn't seem to affect too much. Go ahead.
Oh, I think you got it going on there, sir. Let's talk like that just a little bit. Don't do anything. Just leave it like that and talk. Tell me about your antenna system.
Okay, the antenna system we have here is a ladder fed. It's 120 foot to the house and has 124 foot elements for each side, which helps me operate to 160 meters. A group from up there in New Jersey, the Todd Harbor group there is the one that suggested doing it, and I stuck it up. I could not believe how a ladder line works. I've always used coax, and I would use that, and I use the tuner. It works to the point where I can tune on any band. Go ahead.
Oh, roger, roger. Now, do you know where your EQ settings are?
EQ? No, I don't know where that's at. I know that where the tones and the bass control settings are, but EQ, I'm not familiar with what you're saying there.
Roger, you misunderstood. I'm into equalization. I said EQ, but equalization, you know where those are on your radio?
You're talking about equalization between tone and bass?
Yeah, absolutely. On your bass, how is that marked? 1 to 10 minus 1 to 10 possibilities?
I'm checking it right now.
Roger, roger. Yeah, usually maybe it's a 1 to 10 with the center 0 and minus 1 to 10 and plus 1 to 10.
Okay, my bass is minus 0. No, not minus 0. It's 0. The treble is plus 2.
Roger, roger. Now take your low frequency adjustment and do a minus 4. Do a minus 4 on your low frequency adjustment, Roger.
Low frequency. I'm lost there now. I'm kind of new at this 7300. Just got a while back. Are you saying the increase the treble and bass or what?
No, leave the treble where it is, but roll off the bass. Go to a minus 4 on your bass level control. Minus 4.
4 right now, sir.
All right, and talk to me just a little bit about the thing you like best about the 7300 or something like that.
Okay, what I like about it is compact. I love the screen, which was a little larger. I like the audio scope on it where I can check audio, see how it functions. I don't get too much involved in it, so I don't have other scopes than that. Looking at possibly picking up a 7600 to put on the side and keep this one for a backup. How's that, sir?
I think you got it there, sir. I think you're sounding really good. You were a little bassy, and that roll off on the bottom end helped. I would go, if you could, on the top end. I would go 2 clicks boost from where you are, 2 clicks boost from where you are on the top end. Roger.
Okay, I shall do that. 2 clicks at the top end.
Stand by station.
Okay, how's that? Any better?
All right, come back and tell me about your antenna system a little bit.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm cutting short instead of really rag chewing to get a test on it. But the top end seems to be 1 up.
That sounds pretty good to me. I think you got it. I would run it like that for a little while, see if anybody salutes. Roger.
Okay, appreciate it. I don't want to hold it up. I'm sure there's many other stations that want to call you. I do have the information to go into I think you said Facebook, to your call and check how the audio sounds.
No, it's YouTube. If you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will bring up our Qso-Vlog page. And on that page, you'll see one of the segments called My Group 92118, which is the date, My Group 92118, and the frequency 7189. And we will be posting this in the next couple of days. Roger?
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. You're doing a great job helping other AMs, especially us old-timers that are not quite familiar with the new stuff. So we'll hold you up there. KC9VKV. God bless. Thank you again. WV8 WYX.
Roger, Roger, sir. What was the name again?
The name is Joe. Juliet Oscar Echo.
Roger, Roger, Joe. 3 letter ways, sir, and you have a good day. And like I say, we'll have this up in the next couple of days. This is KC9VKV in the Friday morning Qso-Vlog recording. There was another station. Other station, if you're still there, go ahead. The X-ray Alpha station. I've got you a couple of dB above my noise, but try again, please.
This is Kilo 4, Victor X-ray Alpha.
X-ray Alpha station. This is KC9VKV. Have you checked your ALC reading recently? Just curious as to if there might be a little more RF. You know, in sideband, the audio level directly determines the RF level, and so if you're running a low audio level, your transmitter is not being all that it can be. So if you look at your ALC when you come back and have one hand on your mic gain, you want that ALC reading to be mid-scale to 2/3. Roger, Roger.
That's a Roger, and I am troubleshooting radio.
All right, I heard something. Go ahead.
This is Kilo 4, Victor X-ray Alpha. I am trying to work on my radio and antenna today.
All righty, what exactly are you working on?
I've had problems in the past with contacts. Typically, I run bars more than I run HF, and I've been having problems with contacts, so I jumped down to the ham band to really basically do a good radio check to make sure that everything is running good.
All right, I did notice something. I don't have that great a copy on you. You are about 3 dB above my noise, but it did sound like there was a little raggedness in your audio. Could be RF getting back into your audio. Are you running a power amp? Did you say you were running a power amp? Okay, not running a power amp, and you have limited SWR. Well, do you have, just out of curiosity, might you have another microphone that you could plug in and see if we could solve the problem by changing mics, Roger? Roger, this is Jim, Juliet India Mike, Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and we're located near Louisville. We're just across the river in Indiana from Louisville, Kentucky. Roger?
That is a Roger. I am in Sumter, South Carolina, South Carolina. So I'm going to check the settings on my radios, and I'm going to find a new mic, and how often are you on the frequency?
Well, usually on Fridays we do our Qso-Vlog recording between 10:30 and and noon, and we are at noon now. But probably be hanging in there for a little bit if we got any more. Do you have another mic there with you?
That's the negative. It's locked up in a box. It's going to take me a couple, hours to get to it. So I will try again next Friday, and radios and stuff like that. I hardly ever talk on them, and I've just recently retired from the military as of October, so I know I'm on what's called terminal leave, so I'm starting to set up my ham radio at this point.
Roger, Roger. Just out of curiosity, do you know where your ALC, can you get to your ALC reading on that radio?
That's a Roger. Probably what you want to set it. I have a FCA95 got to. And I think when I go into that mode, it does something to
If you are mid-scale on the ALC, is that a Roger?
I will check that now. Stand by.
All right, and you have to check that in transmit.
That's a Roger.
Roger, Roger. Best way to check that is just to talk into the mic normally, and just do a 10 count or something like that. You don't want to whistle or sing. Just as your voice would normally be to the proximity to the microphone and everything, and just do a 10 count as you look at the ALC meter. Roger, Roger. KC9VKV.
Okay, I'm going to go read on how to do this, and I'm going to get off the network because I did hear other people trying to come in too, and I'm going to read on my AL to know how to set that up. And you guys are still in the air in the next 30 minutes or so, I will try back. Killer 4, Victor X-Ray Alpha.
Roger, Roger. Check your EQ also. You might need a little more bottom end. It could be that if you have your top end fully advanced, if you're running top end boost max, that could cause a distortion. It just does sound like it's peak related. So I would pull that top end EQ back to maybe if it's all the way up, I'd pull it back to about a +3, and I would crank in, if the bottom end is rolled out, I would crank that to about half the possibilities there. If the bottom end is a 0 to 10 minus cut, I would run that at about a 5 and see what that does. Because sometimes if you do, really accentuate the top end, it will cause distortion on the peaks, or could anyway. But anyway, I don't have a copy on you now at all. So let me say 3s for now, and maybe that's something that we can work on next Friday. We'll be here from 10 to noon Eastern Time on this frequency, and running our Qso-Vlog recording. So if you consult your manual, know where your EQ is, your equalization, and know where your your ALC and your mic gain and all that stuff, we can work it out next week there. So 3s for now, and we'll catch you later. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor.
November 4, Papa Juliet Lima. 19 QDS.
The Juliet Lima station.
November 4, Papa Juliet Lima.
Roger, Roger. This is Jim, Juliet India Mike. Good morning.
Hi, Jim. This is Pete, Echo Tango Echo. Just thought I would check in with you and see how this unit is sounding on your end. Over.
I've got you probably about 3 or 4 dB above my noise level. Where are you located, sir?
Okay, I'm located in Central Virginia, in Palmyra, near Charlottesville, and I'm running about 100 watts with a 7300. Over.
Roger, Roger. Well, again, like I say, that 7300 is a beautiful radio. I've got you 7 dB above the noise level, so let me hear you just a little minute. Tell me the thing you like best about the 7300.
Okay, well, the 7300 seems to be everything I've been looking for in the radio. It's built around an SDR platform, and seems to have all the features and functions that I want. I'm still sort of getting used to it. I've had it now for about 6 months, but still enjoying it very much. And everybody I talk to who has one seems to have the same opinion.
Roger, Roger. Now, just out of curiosity, if you were to run your compressor at about a 2, put your compression in line and run it at about a 2, that would increase your average peak modulation quite a bit, even at just a 2 on that compressor, Roger.
Okay, I have it actually set at 7 right now.
Oh, you do have it at 7? Then check your ALC and be sure your audio level's up, Roger. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, my ALC, I probably could bring that up just a bit, so I'll bring the mic gain up as I'm talking with you right now, and that's up to about where I normally have it. I did kick it back a little bit earlier. Over. How's that sound?
Roger. Now I run mine just about mid-scale to pretty far to the right, but not over max ALC. Close to it, but not over. You know that ALC is a limiter, and as a limiter, it's a quick attack, quick release. So you have to be careful not to overdrive it. But they do show you, where you can operate it, as long as you don't exceed the ALC possibilities, Roger.
Roger. Yeah, I brought the compression back down a little bit. It was up around 7, and the ALC now has come way down, so I'll bring it back up again. Now I got the the compression at 7 again. So mic gain is just over 50%, and the compression is at 7.
Roger, is that a 7 out of 10?
Yeah, I just ran it up to 10.
Let me hear you at 10 just out of curiosity.
Okay, I'm running it at 10, and the ALC is right up at the top end as I'm talking over.
Roger, I would run that compressor at about a 5. I would stay right at a 5 on the compressor, and then take a look at your ALC. Now the thing is, when you're running compression, your ALC meter is not moving as much as it was before, and it's easier to adjust towards the top end there with that compressor in as opposed to out, because when it's out, that meter is bouncing all around. So the limiter helps to slow that meter up, and then it's really a lot easier to adjust. And you want to take that ALC and run mid-scale to 2/3 up towards max, but not exceeding ALC max.
Okay, yeah, I've got it now set at the compression is set at 5, and the mic gain is set at 60%. And just so you know, I'm running a Ohio HM12 microphone.
Roger, Roger. Now, do you know where your equalization is?
I sure do.
All right, and on the top end, I would run that top end at, if it's a 0 to 10, I'd run it at a 5. Top end boost at about a 5 on a 0 to 10 scale.
Okay, it's set at 1 right now, plus 1, so I'll take it up to, well, 5 is the max on this one over. I just ran it up to 5.
Sounds pretty good. I'd drop it back to a 4.
Okay, I'm at 4, and I've got my low end at -1 right now.
That sounds pretty good. Let's talk just a little bit more there. What did you say your output is?
Now, the output on here is 100 watts, and I'm running an end-fed half-wave dipole up about 30 feet, and I think it's oriented, so I've got pretty good east-west coverage.
Okay, still got quite a bit of dynamic range. It's not getting full like it should. You're absolutely sure your ALC is running towards max, Roger?
Well, let me check again as I'm talking with you here. Hang on a sec. I need to back out my tone control. Hang on just a sec. Okay, yeah, the ALC is running. It's just under the top end. I can probably take either the mic gain or the compressor up a little bit. Let me try the mic gain coming up a little bit more as I talk. I've got the mic gain up now at 72%. Is that better?
Well, I'm not sure you went the right direction here on that mic gain. Go back to where you were.
Okay, I'm back where I was, and yeah, I ran it up from 60% to 72%.
Yeah, you actually seemed to get weaker when you went up. So go the opposite direction than what you went last time.
Okay, I'll start turning it down a little bit. I'm coming down to 50% now, and the ALC is peaking at about a little over mid-scale, maybe about 2/3.
Roger, I would leave it there. You know, I don't have an absolute perfect copy on you, but from what I can see on my meter, you're looking pretty good there, Roger.
Okay, very good. Well, I appreciate that. And yeah, it's peaking up. If I get close to the mic, it's peaking right up around the top end on the ALC right now.
Roger, I just looked at your dynamic range right there, and that looked really good. So I'd run it like that for a little while and see if anybody salutes, and maybe check in next Friday if you can, and I'll be curious to see what folks have said about it, Roger.
Okay, very good. I do appreciate your help, and we'll look maybe to get in with you again next week. Maybe the bank conditions will be a little better. KC9VKV at 4PJL73. Have a great weekend.
Roger, Roger. 3's to you, sir, and thanks for checking in. And again, we'll be posting this on YouTube in the next couple of days. So if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will bring up our Qso-Vlog page. And on that page, you'll find a segment called My Group. Let's see, the frequency, the date is okay, 9/21/18. The segment will be called My Group 9/21/18, and then the frequency 7189. So 3's to you, sir. Have yourself a good day. This is KC9VKV and the Friday morning Qso-Vlog recording. All right, we're going to jump out for lunch if there's nobody else. Anybody else out there want to air check real quick? Alrighty, 3's to all who participated. We'll see you next Friday, 10:30 Eastern on this frequency, 7189. So you guys have a good weekend, and we'll catch you later. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. Be clear.